Hi, so this is practical. It's a crash tutorial video, and you should read on your own as well. So we'll be talking about report writing, the essentials of in writing a psychological report, right? So what is a report writing? This is a paper, an academic paper that gives an inclination to your thoughts, patterns, biases, and like all the research you've done, all the papers that you've read on a particular topic, on a particular um, experiment, or anything at all project. I feel that this is the paper that gives us a view, a window view into all of that thought process, and then it shows us what you're thinking and the information you've gotten from other people's papers. So it informs the reader about a new idea, theory, or experiment, and this is why it has to be clear. Clarity and brevity are very important while minimizing descriptive language and complex sentences. So it's this research writing or psychology research paper is meant to convey facts and factual knowledge that is supported by research. You know how psychology is a science, is a scientific study. It's not just we're not philosophy, so it's different for us. Empirical research has to back up what it is that we're trying to prove, what it is that we're trying to describe, explain, predict, and control or modify. Um, so in your sources, you have to cite your sources and draw from the works of other people that have done their own research papers. Citations are extremely important. According to APA manual 7th edition style of referencing, when you want to cite, you cite just the last name and the year with a comma, then the year of when that research paper was published, or the year was published basically. So citations are very important in psychological report writing. Also, even if you yourself are citing a previous work that you've done, in conjunction with what you're currently writing on, you should cite your own name because there's something called self plagiarism. In short, we have 5 types of plagiarism, which are direct plagiarism, self plagiarism, mosaic plagiarism, accidental, and global plagiarism. Those are the 5 types. You can check for definitions, just for extra knowledge. Also, you have to understand the ethics of writing. So the previous experiments that were done, you have to, if they were experiments and you have to give data based, you have to like use the data of the previous experiment and not just a review or something. You have to give proper references, the usual ethics. You have to reference correctly, and you have to attach the data and where it was gotten from, not just lifting the entire thing from the internet and then putting it into your body of discussion. That is very important. So understand the ethics of any writing, any research report that you're doing. Also, um, to write a literature review, right, you have to synthesize all previous works and then shed new light on that topic. So if you're asked to write a literature review, it's also an academic paper, you have to synthesize research that you've gotten from different places that you've read about online. There are resources available in different places online now, so that shouldn't be a problem. I'll mention some sites at the end or in like when we move forward. So you should synthesize all previous works, whatever existed before, on that particular topic you're researching. You should put everything together, shed new light on that topic. Use the existing knowledge, what exists, to create your own thoughts, your own ideas, your own biases, how you see like the different parts, or if anything is left out that hasn't been properly researched on that topic as an extension or involvement of that topic. So you start by illustration. That's what is advisable. I mean, according to the material we're given, you start by an illustration. That's your introduction. It should not be, oh, introduction, the definition of X. No, we're not doing that. What we're doing is using citations, interesting facts or interesting um, research I've read, some parts of it, cite it as to start to keep your reader engaged throughout the reading process. So your introduction starts with a good definition with citations from the net and from the libraries to journals. Be thorough with research. Keep asking questions. Don't just ask, oh, the surface level questions. Ask deeper questions. Always be thorough. Being thorough in research is the only thing that can give us groundbreaking solutions, like to problems that we're trying to solve, or behaviors and mental processes that we're trying to modify or influence. So you have to be thorough with your research. Define concepts on investigation. Notice that I said you can't start with definition at the beginning of your introduction, but and pause for a minute. There is something before introduction that you'd write last, but it is what you write after you have written everything in your research paper or your literature review or your systematic review. That is called abstract. It is before the introduction, it's the very first thing after your topic, but it is written last because it has to be a summary of everything that you've put together, right? And you don't want to write some parts then do your abstracts before you now finish. You have to reach the from introduction to the conclusion before you add your abstract. So it's the first thing before introduction, but like I didn't put that first. Let me know. I hope you're not confused. So moving to more the things your introduction should contain: a brief history of how the variable came into being. Okay, who started the research, or what were the people that posited that had different theories on this particular research. So a brief history of how it came into being and citations as well. Every paragraph must have its own story. You don't want to just jam pack things. Like I said, clarity and brevity, very important. Excuse me. And then involvement of the topic, research methods, studies that have been done in modern and past times must make sense. Or how did this start out? How is it now? Where is it now? There has to be like a connection, or this was how this evolved into the new set of things. It shouldn't just be, oh, in the past this was what was said, and currently the world has changed. This was what was said. Oh, why was there an involvement? Why did the research topic evolve into old, from old to new? You have to like give insight into all of that. Then what has been done in terms of your study, which will and this will include a variable. So, what has been done in terms of your study, in terms of this thing that you're researching? What has been previously done? Has there been experiments? Have there been psychometric tests? What exactly has been done? And also remember that the two major parts of any research writing is your introduction and your conclusion, so that whoever is reading can just see your introduction, have a brief idea, and then conclusion. So you have to check seventh edition, that's the latest edition right now of the APA reference style to do your references. Oh, there's the whole indent, arrangement, alphabetical order, last name, then initials, all of that. They're important to know. So like read up on, very important that you read up on the um, manual, the reference manual. Note that a paragraph should not be more than 7 lines. Adequate spacing should be between paragraphs, and do not rely on someone else's review. You have to actually do the research on the journal itself. So to get abstract and conclusion, to finish your work, you have to read the whole thing, then now pick the summary, and that will be your abstract. For locations for articles and journals, you have Semantic Scholar, PubMed, Google Scholar, sign up for downloading papers, and if you need to request the papers from the original authors, you can go to ResearchGate. So you don't always have to introduce subtopics with the paragraphs of your introduction, or even all parts of your research paper. Your subheading should be to a minimum: abstract, introduction, literature review, just the way we did in our term paper, theoretical frameworks, discussion. In your introduction, you'd have had your aims, objectives, your problem statement. So where did I stop? Body of discussion, then your conclusion. You now go back and write your abstract. Like that's the whole thing. So To recount what I just said, your introduction, talk about the topic, the history, how other people have researched, introduce with interesting citations or interesting research that you found out. Your body of research writing should show evidence that supports your claim, contrary, and what is contrary to your own claim, your own ideas, and how you now reconcile your claim, existing claim, old one, new ideas, how you reconcile everything together. Then your conclusions, things like what questions remain to be answered, what does your conclusion mean for other people's theories and previous papers, what synthesis are you looking for between the former research held and your own research to once again reconcile them? What loop or what gap is available in previous research and now that you have to close as a researcher? And be very clear in your conclusion. Do not just what you've not said anything about in the rest of your paper, you just introduce it at the conclusion. It's everything you said from beginning up until your what's it called now, your conclusion, that should be up until your discussion, that should be in your conclusion, nothing new at that point. So be very clear, be very concise, be concise. Do not have strong opinions in terms of, oh, this person was wrong, this person. You're not doing that in your research papers. You are just reconciling different gaps. Okay, this research has not extended to XYZ, so we have to look into this, or things like that. That's like your research paper. Also, avoid direct quotations in your paper. Make sure that you are using the essence of the information. You're not just lifting the word for word. Do not paraphrase. Just talk in the third person and then cite. Use bias free language. Always use the APA guide. So all of these you have to refer to the APA guide, seventh edition, for referencing and every other thing that has to do with research paper. Then instead of like direct pronouns, just use like a general bias free language. So instead of he, she, they, you can just use people with, or they, persons with, people with, instead of he or she, like instead of all of that. So you should use direct words rather than umbrella words and avoid jargons. That's all about it for research papers, systematic review, literature review. That's the basics of all of that. Thank you.